Hey, what's up guys? This is T-Bone here. So today I've got another Watcher Rounds video. This is my second one since the first I made was about the Lust event back in Valentine's Day. Now the latest event had just finished where you could pull Hatsit or Artemis. I was really lucky and I was able to get both of them in succession, so that was actually really cool. And then one of the things I've been wanting to do, since I sort of started playing this game, is figuring out how to calculate the amount of damage that my heroes can deal so I can maximize based on the gear that I have. I have limited gear, right? I'm still farming for them, I'm still building up. And so the question always comes down to which one should I use and what's better? Do I go with attack bonus, flat attack, critical damage, etc.? So I know that there's a lot of content out there that already sort of tells you how to do this. But for me, like as I'm doing some research, I came across a website that I thought was, sort of worked better for me in terms of like how I like to evaluate. And that is the mabucket.com. And this is probably something that if you're a regular player for Watcher Realms, you already know really well. And so I don't really need to introduce it that much. But if you didn't know, I'll have the link to in the description below. Now the website's really cool. It's got a lot of content in there. You can see it has, a hero tier list. It tells you, like why they're good and what situation they're good in. It tells you the various different rewards you can get. But again, like I said, the DPS calculator is one that I thought is the most interesting. Okay, and so the way this works is you take in your hero and you put in the information about the hero's stats, including the gear that you put on, and then you can get an information about like how much damage you should expect to deal against various different opponents. Okay, and so just to kind of walk it through real quick, you can see, in the website itself, it tells you to fill in information about the hero stats. The first one is the Pantheon information. So for those who are less familiar with the game, the Pantheon attack and critical damage, I think these are just like global bonuses to your heroes. And so mine's a 7% bonus for attack and 6% critical damage bonus. And then so I entered that information in there. Then you go back to your hero, and then if you go to the details, then it tells you, various different information that you need to enter. So the base attack is under the basic attributes, 3,599. And then my bonus attack, I just took the total value and I subtracted my base attack to get myself 8,137. Critical chance is how likely you are to deal a critical damage. And so I have 63% critical chance right now. And then my critical damage is at 260.5%. All right. The attack interval is going to dictate your DPS, damage per second. And so I went from 2 seconds default and I dropped it down to 1.4 seconds. And then the skill multiplier, this one took me a minute to figure out how I can get that information. And that goes into your skills. In your skills, if you go to your primary attack, then it tells you how much damage it deals, right? So in this case, it tells me I'm dealing 54% of my damage to the target, but in this case Hatsit does it twice, and so I put in 54 for the skill multiplier. So at this point, everything else is pretty much set here. I'm not looking at the bonus. If I wanted to, I could, but I'm not looking at the bonus with additional bonus like lore bonus or anything like that. Not looking at the defense reduction, like none of that extra stuff, but you can do additional bonuses here. So like this is the right side of the gears, like your bangles and your amulets and your rings. And so you can see like if you enter these information, it kind of tells you like there are additional bonuses that happen. I believe this takes place during when you're in the match or something, but in any case you can put an accessory there. So for me, I don't have any sets here, so I'm going to leave this empty, and this assumes if you're using other heroes to give you additional bonus, which I'm not going to do. So based on this right now, and you can also do this, you can choose which enemy you're going to be faced against. This I think was really cool, right? I love this. So you can choose which hero or which enemy you're going up against. If we choose, let's say, Nightmare 4, for me, Nightmare 2 and 3, that's really where I'm at right now. You can see I should expect my non-critical damage to be about 2,559, but then my critical damage goes up to 6,822. And with my attack interval, that gives my DPS at 3,746. And now, so, what I really like here is I can play around with the various different different gears and then try it out and see what I get. And then you can actually test it out, which I think is really cool. So if you go to the guild boss, which I one of the things I like the most, this is really cool, this feature where you can do playtest. I love it, right? Like you can actually try out various different builds really easily without spending any of the in-game resources. You don't have to waste your attack or anything like that. So in any case, I'm just going to deploy Hatsit here, and I'm going to put her in, and then if you take a look at her damage, you can see my damage is 2,599 and 6,821 for critical damage. It's pretty much like dead on, right? So I thought that was really, really cool. And so now that I've sort of confirmed it, this is where I thought this website, this DPS Calculator, really came in handy for me. Okay, because one of the questions I constantly ask myself is it better to just add more attack, right? Or is it better to use a critical damage at some point? For me, personally, my experience with Gemstone Legends, my primary game, is that at some point your attack value gets to a point where there's lower returns of lower returns on your investment, where it takes a lot more attack increase for you to get the same amount of damage compared to if you just increased your critical damage by a bit. Okay, and so that's what I know from the other game. I wondered if it translated here. So I actually tested it out, so I'm going to show you this, which is kind of interesting. So if you take a look at my gear, I do have one that isn't the best, right? So if you take a look, I have an attack bonus. This one I thought was pretty good. I have an attack one because I don't really have an attack bonus gear. Like I said, I'm still just kind of starting out, still farming, right? And then I have another one that's an attack bonus. So the question here is like, obviously if I did more attack bonus, it's going to be better, right? But then the question is like, well, what if I, didn't have something, but I do have, if I'm going to do a filter here, but if I have something that is critical damage as a primary bonus. Okay, so I don't have any for the mythics, but I do have one in the legendary. And so I think it's this one. Let me see which one it is. This is the one that, yeah. So you can see here, I have 37.4% critical damage, right? This is a legendary, so it only goes up to level 12. It does have some attack boost, attack bonus, and also flat attack. And so I'm actually getting some good attack out of this, right? So if I were to replace this and then go back to my my profile here, right? Now what you can see is for me, my total damage actually, my total attack actually decreased. All right, so if I now kind of go back and take a look, it's now showing 11,523. Okay, subtract my base attribute, my bonus attack actually has gone down. Okay, my bonus attack went down from 8,137 down to 7,924. This is actually a 26% reduction in my attack value. Okay, 26% reduction, but my critical damage has actually gone up. If you take a look at my profile now, so my critical rate also went down. So that's the thing to keep in mind. So my critical rate went down, and then my critical damage went up from 260.5 to 277.9. Okay, so I went up by 16% in critical damage. But if you take a look, my expected critical damage has now gone up, okay? Even though my bonus attack went down by 26% and my critical damage went up by 16%, right? That offset actually made it so that my critical damage increased. This is on a, using a legendary gear rather than a mythic gear, right? So we can test this out one more time. If we go back to the guild boss and then go to the Nightmare 2, go to the fight, plate test, okay? And now my DPS actually has gone down a little bit because my critical chance has decreased. Okay, so my expected amount of damage, that is critical damage, actually reduced by a bit, right? But if I can keep my critical chance higher, then I'll be able to keep that more aligned. So now you can see my damage has gone up, 7,038. This time it's exactly the number that I'm seeing. So it's 7,038 every time, and I guess over time it does deal more damage. But that's the value that I was able to confirm. Okay, so I just wanted to show this to show you that it actually works. And so this was really interesting for me, right? Like I wouldn't, prior to this, like it was always a matter of just, you know, using sort of my theory to test it out. I mean, I could also test it out in the boss myself. As you see here, I could just do this, but I just thought that having this website here just helps me just quickly do things real quickly without having to go into the game, do a bunch of tests and then come back out. I can do this pretty rapidly, and then I can start forming, you know, better I can start coming up with better results for myself. And so this is an example where looking at the hero, looking at the gears, it may not always be too obvious on which is going to give you the best. In this case, right, this gives me a bit better damage output, but at the end of the day, I think that it's still better for me to get a bit of the bonus and a better attack speed, right? And so I get more DPS overall. Okay, so my DPS will be better if I maintain this gear. So, you know, there are things that you should consider, but it's just like this really helps, and it helps you visualize it, helps you understand what it is that you're going for. And so highly recommend it. If you haven't tried it out, give it a shot, give it a whirl. I think it's really cool, and just wanted to showcase this again. Like I haven't played the game long enough to be an expert in anything, so I can't really give any advice, but this is something that I thought was cool. This is something that I understand a bit myself, and so I thought it's been helpful for me. I wanted to share it. Hopefully helps you as well. Anyways, that's going to be it for me for today. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And also, if you have any suggestions based on what you see, you know, for me personally, I would appreciate it very much. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.